I'd also like to give thanks to Kareem Childs, whom invited me to be a part of this forum. I respectfully declined because I'm an old man now. I'm 31 years old. And what does that mean? Is that I think that part of our movement is also including ourselves by taking ourselves out, but it's also about taking up space. When we see women, when we see LGBTQ youth, when we see poor youth or youth from working class backgrounds, that is about taking up space. So it's interesting how we move in and out. And I really appreciate that he still reached out to me and said, Amilcar, you could speak as an older youth in the movement to share some remarks about your experiences as a youth. And it is in that capacity I will make a contribution today. So I'm very grateful to the Guild of Students, the Commonwealth Youth Council, the Trinidad Youth Council, and my esteemed comrade Shanice Webb, who was instrumental to the leadership in the Youth COVID-19 Response Initiative. Thank you very much and greetings to everyone. The theme for this year's International Youth Day is Youth Engagement for Global Action. I ask, what do politics look like in a pandemic world? The discipline of geography offers us answers that do not apply only to mapping studies that trace the spread of disease, or force us to think about the direction and miles of goods and services such as food. Geographic knowledge empowers youth activists and social movement builders to think through the concept of scale. All scales matter. What we do on our campuses, communities, nation, region, and global spaces of action and debate feed into each other. Yet, in the Caribbean, we still contend with the fetishization of international spaces and validation, or as Rastas accurately describe, the outer national community. For many people, development and collective achievement rest solely on our proximity to the indicators and image of societies outside. Outside meaning Europe and the United States. International spaces are not proof of our worthiness. It is a site where our ideas contend with other communities of the world. It is an opportunity for us to access information and resource networks that can be redirected to our national and regional spaces. And most importantly, it is a space where we take part in global debates that may not be happening in our home countries, while we contribute to international discussions and decisions that are geographically imbalanced and do not include our realities. So youth representation in the Commonwealth has less to do with making your country proud when you stand next to the Queen of England, and more to do with building stronger relationships with Asian and African democracies that are fighting for a future of self-determination. Think of scale. The United Nations proclaimed 2015 to 2024 as the International Decade for People of African Descent. This recognition has given greater visibility and legitimacy to those critical of international development and the guaranteeing of rights for African peoples. In this decade, after all the social movements, the issue of a 7-year-old wearing dreadlocks in school is a question for Jamaica's Supreme Court to decide. Not too long ago, Belize and Trinidad and Tobago were confronted with this same question. Right now, the fires to the buildings and symbols of oppression like Columbus may have appeared to be cool, but all around the world, the movement for racial justice has been youth-led and organized to give dignity to Black life and challenge the practices of state violence against their people, police brutality, and the bestiality of right-wing regimes that put their people out to die in the name of economics. Men are hiding from public discussions, on the retreat on WhatsApp groups of misogyny, afraid of the world, knowing about their violations against women because women have selected justice over silence. And as more women step forward to speak about their ways to get their rights and the ways that they have been violated, more men are also called to step forward and break the impunity of perpetrators, to hold other men accountable, to put on the agenda for students in our national community that sexual harassment is a form of violence against schoolgirls, and this is a political issue, an election issue, a campaign issue, and an inequality we have to end. This moment has shown us how much truth and temperament mattered behind our tweets. Intellectual rigor and research mattered behind our righteous positions. Political integrity and patience mattered behind our posturing and positions on stage. And responsiveness and relationships mattered when a movement rises and the function of influencers and inside strategies change. I said it before and I will say it again. All scales matter. All skills matter because the fight to free our girls from child marriage in Trinidad and Tobago calls us to the fight to challenge the arguments of legalized child labor in Belize. How do these issues feed into our day-to-day lives? Take a look at our recently completed general elections. To be a student of Trinidad and Tobago politics, one must be a student of Guyanese politics. Each generation must fight to protect peace and promote understanding in our multiracial post-colonial democracies. If there's anything we have learned about the elections in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, is that the youth are not naturally at the forefront of racial progress. That the political parties are not the problem entirely because we drive divisiveness too. That all parties are the same is a falsehood because parties do lead different platforms and have different track records, especially in the management of the economy. And last, that engaging youth with more information does not always translate to higher youth turnout at the polls. We need sustained youth political action before, during, and after elections. Political work is not nice and neither is it easy. We need to coordinate and mobilize youth and develop a presence at joint select committees in Parliament as much as we strive to host Zoom webinars with no follow-up reports or press releases in the media. We must produce strong content that can be accessed in online and print formats about our priorities, but we should also work to inform and create communication channels with leaders of party youth wings, nationally and regionally, for them to speak to the examples of youth work, the work that all of you all are doing on this live, the panelists in this chat, the youth work happening to their national executives. One day after our general elections was over, a young Venezuelan woman was raped and left in the bushes in Trinidad and Tobago. Our work continues. For International Youth Day, I want us to reflect on our movement and realign the aims of our cause, realign some of the persons in its leadership, and select targets for our action. Do we continue with hierarchies of power in our organizations, or do we support those with the most capacity to deliver on objectives? Do we continue to rely on titles and positions, or do we employ the radical imagination for our portfolios of responsibility? Do we continue with a conception of the Caribbean that has one linguistic zone, or do we communicate in Spanish and French, build relationships with Latin America, and play catch up with our comrades in Suriname, Curacao, and Haiti? Do we continue to draw straight lines to leaders, or do we see persons who hold organizational power as guiding a movement for a time? Do we continue to work now so that we become consultants and profit from our cause? Or do we see ourselves as a committed generation that will never let go of an activist spirit in high, middle, and low places? Do we continue to run our mouths about youth this and youth that and check the ages of our leaders? Or do we assess the politics and decisions of who is and who is not a champion of youth development? As a socialist, I have never been more proud in any other moment in my life because it is the left, with their defense of feminism, the environment, public health care, racial justice, and people over banks who have saved lives and pushed back against the prophets of doom and misery and their neoliberal economics. I urge all of you to build a more social Trinidad and Tobago, a more social Caribbean and Latin America region, a more social global community. It was Federico Garcia Lorca who reflected on the duty of the poet. His words push us into action in these times. Más cerca de la muerte que de la filosofía, más cerca del dolor que de la inteligencia, más cerca de la sangre que de la tinta. Closer to death than to philosophy, closer to pain than to intelligence, closer to blood than to ink. We struggle to defend life, to eliminate the conditions and structures of social death. We struggle to deliver material guarantees and hope when all around is grief and uncertainty. Thank you.